Welcome to the Well Chat. Listen, I am so excited. This is our show where we talk about business, banking, and real estate with my beautiful sister, Benaisha Poole Watson. And today we are interviewing a complete hotel tycoon, okay? I'm like so impressed. Cannot wait to get into it. So excited to have you here, Davonne. Thanks for coming, girl.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
The owner of Vestor.
Yes, the owner of Vestor, which is a crowdfunding platform where you can invest and raise capital for commercial real estate, including hotels and multifamily. So after you get your banking financing from Benaisha and you need some equity, then that's when you'll go to Vestor to raise capital as well as to invest. And I am the co-owner of 3 hotels across 2 different states.
Yes. So, girl, how did all this come about? Like, did you start in real estate?
No, I actually started off at the front desk at the Hyatt Regency Atlanta, where I just came from. The Hyatt Regency Atlanta, which is literally down the street. And at the time, I didn't know you could own a hotel. Like, it just didn't dawn on me. My goal was to become a general manager or like director of sales or something. And I just didn't know that you can own it. And I started getting involved with different organizations, professional organizations for hotel professionals, and they were under the age of 30. We were all under the age of 30 at the time, and they were owning hotels. I was like, wait, you can own a hotel?
Wow.
Now, they inherited, so it's a little different. You know, they were from, a lot of people from the Indian community, they inherited hotels. But I was like, that's when a light bulb went up. And I've always been curious, and I said, you know what? And I've always been the one to be at the top. And I said, you know what? So instead of becoming a general manager, I want to become a hotel owner. But, it wasn't, podcasts and, the Wealth Chat. It wasn't, Davonne Reaves. It wasn't YouTube University. So I couldn't, there wasn't books out there that I really could learn how to become a hotel owner. So I had to create my own pathway and do it myself.
Okay, so you had all these families that you saw inherit these properties.
Yeah.
What made you, okay, so we know that you saw and you want to make a difference, but really, how did you really infiltrate that? How did you infiltrate understanding the back end of it?
Right.
Because the people on the front end of it, they're arm locked. They don't really let us in, right?
That is true.
So what did you do to navigate in that space?
So I actually took a non-paid internship. I took a non-paid internship because I knew I wanted to get into hotel ownership. And to your point, my background was mostly in operations. And so if you want to get into, so when I was doing my research about hotel ownership and asset management, the things that kept coming up was finance. I didn't major in finance. I didn't major in real estate. I didn't major in economics. So I was very limited as far as my options. And so I came across a non-paid internship in consulting, and they were consulting hotel owners. And so in my mind, I'm like, well, I want to be a hotel owner. So the best way to learn about hotel ownership is through this non-paid internship. This was after college. Of course, my family thought I was crazy, especially my dad. He's like, what do you mean you working for free? But I was so hungry, and I was like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and take this opportunity. It was a 3-month opportunity. I worked there in the morning. I worked at the Hyatt at night because I still had to pay my bills. And I loved it. So I'm learning about feasibility studies. I'm learning about raising capital. I'm learning about all the complications and the fun parts of hotel ownership because, again, I'm working with hotel owners, right? Understanding capital stacks, all that fun stuff. And so I was there for about 2 years, 3 months non-paid, the rest I was paid. And then I went to a larger firm out of Boston, and it was an asset management firm. And my portfolio where I was working on was total probably about $1 billion in assets. That I, again, working with hotel owners, I'm learning from them, okay, how do they raise capital to, acquire $400 million properties, right? So again, just learning that, because I didn't come from real estate. So in my family, pretty much everybody owned a home. So it wasn't like, my grandma owned her home, my mom, so my dad. So it wasn't, home ownership wasn't the problem. Everybody just owned a home. They didn't really explain the benefits of real estate because they didn't know. We didn't talk about hotel ownership at the dinner table. You know what I mean? It just wasn't, we didn't talk about buying a block. It wasn't, I'm like really the first entrepreneur, like really like this in my family. And so I didn't really have anybody to really, look up to when it comes to this. So I'm, doing something new. I'm stepping out on faith that people couldn't just wrap their brain around it. My mom still don't know what I do. You know what I mean? And so, so I was in Boston for 2 years, and in 2017, that's when I was like, you know what? I want to become an entrepreneur. I'm seeing so many people who don't look like us in this space. I mean, I was going to conferences. It was hundreds and hundreds of people, and I was the only Black person.
Wow.
Besides the people that were working at the hotel.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it was just like, okay, I need more people who look like me in this space, right? A lot of times I was the only woman. I was the only Black woman. I was the youngest. A lot of times I was all three. And coming into these boardrooms and sitting at these tables, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm very fortunate to be here. But my mentor told me, she said, Davonne, before I moved to Boston, she said, we basically blasted the door open for you. You continue to keep it open, but you pull people with you. So that's why I created this platform where I wanted to teach more and more people how to get into the hotel ownership space, more people of color, more women. That's why I created Vestor. Which is my crowdfunding platform, because one thing I realized, people always say Black folks don't have money.
Right.
We
have the highest in spending power, so we know we have it.
Right. So exactly. Right. So Black folks, we spend. In 2019, there was a study that we spent over $109 billion in travel. That was just in 2019, but yet we own less than 2% of the hotels in the United States. So there's a problem there, right? And so what I realized, okay, Black people, we got money. We know how to spend it.
Yes.
Okay, so, because that was the issue. Oh, well, we don't own hotels because money. No, that wasn't it. What it was mostly was the access and the knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I created Vestor, my platform, because it's connecting folks to deals and to opportunities, right? So it's now, because typically for you to invest in a hotel, you have to know a hotel owner. We ain't that many Black hotel owners.
Right.
So unless you're in that circle, you're not going to know.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I was like, oh, how can we make it, easier? Because when I was raising capital for my deal, I couldn't get on those platforms or other crowdfunding platforms, because a lot of times you have to have like over $100 million in real estate experience, and I didn't have that. Or you had to be an accredited investor, and that's a person who has an income level of $200,000 or more, or a net worth of $1 million or more, right? And so a lot of people, they don't have that, or they don't know that they have it, right? And so I said, okay, what can be done to touch that 98%? What can be done to help people change generational wealth within their family, right? Because when you're investing in a multi-million-dollar project and you have just a little bit of ownership, your net worth is now changed.
Right.
Now when you're looking to get a loan, or now when your balance sheet is, now your balance sheet is changing. Now you're able to pass something over to your children, right? So my investors, a lot of them, they have, or the investors that I helped create it, a lot of them have children, right? A lot of this is their first time. And they're able to invest, and now they can take their children in something that they partly own.
Wow.
So it's a different type of feeling, right? It's a different type of feeling because, years ago, it was a point in time where we couldn't have conversations like this, or we couldn't even walk inside a hotel. We had to go through the back doors, right?
That part.
I think we had the green, what was it called?
It was the green book. And that was literally the original Airbnb.
Yep.
Folks sleeping on folks' couches and in different guest rooms, and we had to stay at Black-owned hotels, and we had to use that green book, right?
Wow.
And so now we're at a point where we can be franchisees of Hilton and IHG, which I am. I'm a franchisee of Hilton, which is the number 2 largest hotel brand in the world. IHG, you can be a franchisee of Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, all of those different brands where now you can be franchisees of it now. So definitely it's changing. There are different programs out there. Wyndham has Bold, which is the Black-owned lodging developers. It's a new program that was just launched last year, where their initiative is strictly focused on increasing Black hotel owners. So they're giving you that support. They're giving you that financial support to help you. They also have Women Own the Room. Choice has Emerging Markets program, which is another program that'll help you, people, particularly people of color, getting to the hotel ownership space, giving that support of what you need to really, get into the hotel ownership space. So it's tools out there. The biggest thing that I've noticed,
them not knowing,
them not knowing.
And I'm so mad. It's time for break.
Wow.
But that was so good. We are coming right back after this break. Do not go anywhere. Okay, so Benaisha, Davonne, you giving all the tea, and I know she feels the same way, like extremely proud of the fact that you made these moves. And really, what I really love about your story is that a couple years ago, you were not in real estate at all, right? And I think that's huge because sometimes people feel like in order to jump into, you know, the hotel game that you got to have all this experience. You were just hungry, willing, asked questions, and then showed up. So you talked about crowdfunding. You talked about some opportunities to become an investor. So is one of your main goals with Vestor to help other Black women to become hotel owners or investors in that? What does that look like?
It's a combination of everything, right? You
Okay.
know, Vestor's for everyone. You know, of course, you know, since I'm a Black woman, the majority of the investors now are Black women.
Yeah.
But anyone can invest. It's definitely diversified. So you have people who want to passively invest, meaning they ain't trying to do all this work. Then you have people who want to actually do the work and develop properties and raise capital. So that's who we're connecting, right? We're connecting people who want to, who definitely want to get their start in the space. So we definitely don't discriminate. We're just here to connect folks to the deals. Our goal is to educate and engage, and then as well as get folks to invest.
So I wanted to go back to when you did your internship.
Yeah.
And my question is, how did you find that internship? Because, you know, some people may be watching, they're like, okay, where do I go? Is it Google?
Yeah.
Did I talk to a professor? Like, how did you get that idea, and where did you go to do an internship?
Well, I'm a relationship person, right? And so actually my old coworker, we worked together at the Hyatt. She went on maternity leave. And so she heard about the internship opportunity from Georgia State because we both went to Georgia State. And so she was I don't know what I guess it was God, you know, not I guess, I know it was God, right? And just basically I guess put it on her spirit to tell me. And she's like, Davonne, I think you'll be good for it. And I was just like, okay. And can you believe I got turned down? I'm like, how you get turned down on a free internship? I was very persistent.
Wow.
You know, I was like, you're just not gonna tell me no. I don't take no well. And so I was very persistent, and it ended up paying off. You know, I would reach out to him, you know, the owner of the company, and he just would like kind of avoid me. And you know, again, I'm a relationship person, don't take no. So I just, you know, started showing up at different events that I knew he would be at, and he was just like, okay, clearly you're not going to take no for an answer. And I finally got my interview, and then if it wasn't for that non-paid internship, then I probably wouldn't even be on the stage with you all today.
What was that time frame from when you were turned down to when he actually gave you a chance? How long did that journey take?
Probably like a month, maybe a month and a half, because I would email.
Well, that was fast.
Yeah, maybe I'm persistent. Yeah, I would email, you know, maybe a month and a half, maybe 2 at the most. Then the holidays came, and so, email, call, he just wouldn't respond. I reached out to the secretary, the analyst, and it was just like ghost. And so I was like, but it's a small industry. The hospitality industry is small. He's a titan in the industry. And so I knew he was going to be at certain events, and so I would just show up and you know, reintroduce myself.
How have the men in this space kind of received you? Because obviously it's very heavy Indian populated, and then probably white male too, or is it mainly, right?
Yeah.
How's that interaction been?
I mean, it's been fine. I mean, they've been very helpful and very, you know, resourceful. Like I said, I'm a relationship person. Right. So I still have relationships. I still, you know, the one who I was persistent with, you know, I still keep in contact with him and send him Christmas cards. You know, he's a new grandfather, so he sent me pictures of the baby. So I still keep in contact with people. And I also pay homage to people. And I think a lot of times when people get to a certain level in their life, they forget about the people who helped them along the way. So I'm never going to say, I got here by myself because somebody said yes. Going back to my friend who told me about the opportunity, going back to him, he still could have told me no. You know, so it's so many people who helped me along the way. And you know, my mentors, Valerie Ferguson, although she wasn't in hotel ownership, she was a general manager. She was the first Black, not even just woman, she was the first Black general manager, period, of a major hotel. And she took me under her wings. You know, same thing with Ertuqual's baby. She's the general manager of the largest hotel in the Southeast, the largest Marriott in the Southeast, and the largest hotel in Atlanta. So women like her, women like them took me underneath their wings, right? And then there was, you know, people, my old bosses, and I was the only Black person at a lot of these companies. Because when you get to a certain level in hotel ownership, and the type of hotels that I was dealing with projects that were like $100 million. At that level, my times out of 10, they're white, right? And so I had to, one, you have to be comfortable with dealing with different races. You know, I was raised not to speak up and ask questions, not to challenge. You know, that's something that's common in our community. Right. Well, I'm walking into a culture where it's okay to ask questions. So that's something that I had to, and you know, now I'm at a space where I can wear my hair natural. It was one point in my career, I can wear my hair natural. I was afraid to wear braids. I was afraid to be my authentic self. And then finally, I'm like, you know what? I love Beyonce. Yeah. This is who I am. And I'll be like, hey, girl, what is the tea? And they're like, oh, my gosh, what is that? I am my authentic self.
I love it.
And regardless of which conference I'm at, regardless of who I'm with, regardless how much money you have, because at the end of the day, money is green, and we still put on pants the same way.
Yeah.
So I fell in love more and more with myself.
Yes.
And ever since that, my life has just completely changed.
And I don't know if you went through that, but I did too. Because once you elevate and you realize, okay, we all put our pants on the same way.
Yeah.
We're all trying to, you know, do the same exact thing, which is take care of our family, elevate, build wealth, and reach back. Once you realize that, you get out of that nervousness. And then you're real, like a turtle.
But then you also help each other, right? I've realized people, when you get to a certain place in your life, you actually help each other. Like, you're still competitive, but at the end of the day, you help each other, and you don't mind, because you remember what it was like.
Absolutely.
And so it's like, you know what, girl, let me go ahead and, Benaisha, what you need? Davonne, what you need? You know what I mean? It's just, what we in this together, right? It's no, oh, well, you know, because once you're comfortable in yourself and you're confident in yourself, you don't have competition. Like, I don't have it. They're like, who's your competition? It's very hard for me to answer that because I'm my own competition.
Absolutely. Right? I love that. So obviously you've turned into this like whole hotel tycoon, which I absolutely love. It's always curious. We have this conversation a lot. Like, I'm always curious in terms of, now that you like bossy, clearly you're confident, but also humble and grounded too. Dating, what does that part look like? Do you feel like
this is supposed to be the business, banking, and real estate? It don't say relationship. It don't say relationship.
Get in your business.
It don't say, you can't say the personal
just a little bit.
I like how y'all slid.
How we slid that. We slid that in. No, but I think it's such an important conversation, because there are so many women that are dominating at a high space. I think this is like, you know, the decade of the female, which is beautiful. And it's always interesting to me. I'm married to an amazing man, and, you know, I won't go. Can you tell? Yeah.
Girl, he took care of
Yeah, no, he does. But I'm very comfortable in my femininity, and I love being soft, but I'm very dominant when I need to be. But I'm always curious to hear from your experience being a boss. Obviously, at some point, I would imagine you wanted to get married. What does that dating experience look like?
So hard. I have a little one. I have a 4-year-old, so I'm a single mom. I don't even like saying that. I'm just saying I'm a mom, right?
Yes.
But it's hard, because I think a lot of times, I'm not going to say that men are intimidated. It's just that it's putting out there, when you at a certain level, you have a lot of masculine energy, right? And so it's like, well, one, try to get to know me, because if you're the right man, you'll pull out my femininity, right? So I was actually raised to be submissive, right? I was raised by my grandma, and you can't get any more old school than that, right? She's still, girl, you better take care of your man. You better fix his plate. That's just how she was. And so that's how I was raised. And I think nowadays, what I found that we talk about marriage, and I hear, you know, I'm on Instagram and stuff, and I see, you know, people bashing the women, people bashing the men. And it's like, oh, women don't want to do this. Well, you know what? Sometimes men, I know this. Y'all want to be husbands. Y'all want us to do this. Y'all want us to cook, clean, do all this. Y'all want us to do all this stuff, but y'all want to be husbands. So it's like, okay. So it can be challenging. It is hard for me to meet people. I don't do the best to put myself out there either. So I probably won't go on like dating apps or anything. But I would say it is challenging. I am open to dating. I haven't found the right person, or the right person haven't found me. You know, it's, you know, just like when you date, and it has been harder since I've gotten a lot of notoriety. You know, I'm sure you can understand that. It gets a little, it just gets harder, because you don't know someone's true intentions. You don't know motives. And also I have a little one, right? And so I have more to lose now. So I look at things a little differently than I did 5 years ago. You know, 5 years ago, no one knew who Davonne was. You know what I mean? And so now it's, wait, aren't you that? Like, I was literally I was at an event. I was on the elevator going somewhere early today, and it was like, I feel like I know you. Like now it's like it's different because before, you know, I'm just low key wear sweats and a t-shirt, and now I can't because I'm always have to be on because it's like, wait, I feel like isn't this you? Like, I just feel like I know you from somewhere, and then they pull me. I'm like, ain't this you? And I'm like, you know, yeah. You know what I mean? So it's just a little different. And as far as like with the dating, what I found, and me and one of my best friends, we was actually talking about this the other day. Literally, what I found. I'm not speaking for all men. I love men, love black men and everything. But what I've seen is that they won't be husbands. So I would love somebody to prove me wrong. Yeah. I would love, you know, I believe in love, definitely believe in marriage. I guess God said it's not time. It hasn't been time for you yet. And also I noticed that when I would try to do it, it would become a distraction. Like I haven't found that partner's like where I'm pushing, you know, because I'm supportive. So if you tell me you could be like, look, I want to be the president. I'm like, let's go. Let's get you to be the president. You know what I mean? I'm like, what we got to do? You want to be president? I mean, that's just me. That's just how supportive I am. Like, but then it's just like, okay, when it comes time for it to be reciprocated, you know, it's not the same. And I feel like I'm pouring more into them. And you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, well, you're not helping me. Yeah. So if you distracted me, you got to go.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I feel it in my spirit that he is watching right now. And he is listening to you, and he's like, that is my wife. I feel it coming through. I'm in agreement. We want to talk about your book.
Yeah.
Can we highlight this book? And I do have a question on the on your hotel, but I want to talk about the book first. Yeah. So tell us about what was your desire? Why did you want to write this book?
Well, people kept asking me, because I would do a lot of educational courses, and people were like, well, is there a book on it? On how to buy a hotel? I mean, I kept getting that. I was like, you know what? And I went to look so I could recommend, and I was like, oh, wait, there's not a book. So I just wrote it. I mean.
Wow. Now, how long did it take you to write this book?
Probably with the editing and everything, probably about 6 months.
6 months.
Because a lot of the content I already had. It was just pulling it out so it can make sense. Because in my head it makes sense, but you have to speak it to what I have, because I'm so into it.
Outline.
You have to outline it, but you also have to speak it in a way like this is foreign to a lot of people. Like owning a hotel, to me, it's like, I don't really feel like I'm doing anything. Because, again, I'm going to conferences where people own like 100 hotels. So me and my little 3 hotels, they be like, oh, okay. You know,
and they haven't written any books. That's what I'm saying. There's
a lot of times it's just, what I realize in the hotel industry, it's a lot of times their uncles, they're born into it. They inherit it. Or, you know, they just work for companies, or they'll go to schools like Cornell, and so it's a relationship, you know, good old buddy system, good old white boys club. So it's kind of like you can just pick up the phone and call. But to our culture, this is completely new, which is weird. Because we've been owning hotels since the 1800s. It's
Black
just
Wall
that,
Street.
Exactly. It's
not
just
by
that
the masses.
Exactly. It was just that when, you know, integration came, you know, a lot of the black-owned hotels, you know, they died down. And so we forgot that we own hotels. We forgot that we own apartment complexes and office buildings and banks.
But like you said, when you were an employee, you never thought to even own. You were like, in your mind, you could have worked there for the next 20 years.
I probably would have still been
traveling, building up people's hotels.
But you know what? It wasn't what I've realized throughout my journey is that because I'm more, people don't believe me this, I guess I'm an ambivert, you know, extrovert, introvert kind of thing. But, you know, some people are like, oh, Davonne, you didn't have to put yourself out there, you know, because being in the public eye, it's sacrifices that I don't think people realize that we have to do. But I've realized that my passion is turned into my purpose. Yeah. So when I meet people who I've inspired and they're crying and their life has changed, it's like, okay, when sometimes you have that, I'm sure you all have had that moment where you're like, you know what? I don't want to work anymore. Yeah. And so that keeps me going. That keeps me motivated. And that makes me where like, okay, you know what, Davonne, this is bigger than you.
Absolutely.
Because I literally could have just kept this for me and my son, but then now I'm being selfish.
Absolutely. We got to get ready to wrap. Producers are like, come on. Real quick, just last thing. What would be the last thing that you would tell entrepreneurs that are watching right now?
Stay focused. It's so much going on Instagram. It's so much going on YouTube. it's the pressure of you got to be a millionaire tomorrow. I mean, it's a lot of pressure. And I think a lot of people are getting confused and they're just inundated with so much information. They don't know which way to go.
Yeah.
Right. So focus on one thing at a time. So if you want to get into trucking, get into trucking, master it, and then go into something else. If you want to go into multifamily, go into multifamily, master it. And it's okay if you don't want to become an entrepreneur. Right. It is okay because guess what? The majority of my investors, they're not entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that's good.
The majority of them have 9-to-5s or retired.
That's a word right there.
You know, so I haven't met, it's not too many, and if they are they're entrepreneurs on the side. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And they're eventually may come a full-time. So just stay focused and just focus on yourself, focus on what you want to do, and make sure that you just love yourself and don't compare yourself to anybody else.
I love it. Thank you so much. This was amazing. You all, this was such a good Wealth Chat. Benaisha, how can they follow us, girl?
Follow us at the Wealth Chat. We are on all the social platforms. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.